Welcome everybody to Extreme Off-Road Silly Bills, and today we're dealing with the 2018 Land Rover Range Rover Velar. And this is 896 horsepower, 716 pounds-feet of torque from a 5.4 litre supercharged V8 engine. The vehicle itself now weighs 3,664 pounds. Now has off-road tyres, all-wheel and off-road suspension to go with the all-wheel drive system that it already had, and it can now do 0 to 60 in 3.232 seconds, 0 to 100 in 6.162 seconds, and go to a top speed of 214 miles an hour. So obviously this car was already made to go off-road, that's why it already had all-wheel drive, and yeah, Range Rovers are typically really rather good for going off-road, though to varying degrees depending on the model, so this should hopefully do really rather well. So let's see what it can do. Obviously this isn't the most power you could give into this car. There are bigger engines with more horsepower, but I figured considering this didn't even have 400 horsepower in its stock form that, you know, just under 900 would be more than adequate enough. Especially since it doesn't weigh quite as much as it did before. Though it is far from the lightest vehicle that we've had on this series so far. But then again, it is a modern SUV, so it's never likely to be below 3,000 pounds. But yeah, Range Rover have a really justifiably great reputation for off-road vehicles, so I'm expecting a lot out of this. And I think this is actually the first Range Rover we've had on this series. I don't think we've taken out the SV version, whichever one it's called. I think actually the engine in this is from that car. So yeah, didn't stick with the standard V6 because we didn't get all that much power from it. Yeah, this is pretty stable so far, as you'd expect for an off-road vehicle. Particularly quick, but it is stable and pretty much able to maintain a decent rate of speed even if it isn't all that high. Also helps that the all-wheel drive system is native to the car, so that is not an added pressure to the vehicle itself. Not the fastest across the finish line there at 152 miles an hour, but we do nonetheless have a time of 2 minutes 4 seconds .818, so not quite as quick as the rather ancient Alfa Romeo P3 from the previous episode, but in comparison to other off-road vehicles that are similarly aged as this, then yeah, it's quicker than a Subaru WRX rally car, a classic Land Rover Range Rover, a Mercedes AMG E63S, and in terms of off-road vehicles that are around this period, then you're looking like it's quicker than the Mercedes-Benz X-Class, it's quicker than a Subaru Impreza WRX STI, a Nissan GTR, oh no, that's not really an off-road vehicle, but you know what I mean, and a Ram 2500 Power Wagon, a Jaguar I-Pace, which this has the same kind of interior as, a Volkswagen Touareg, a Porsche Cayenne Turbo, an Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. So yeah, it's quicker than several cars that are from the same year as this, the Cayenne, the Alfa Romeo, and the Mercedes X-Class and the Jaguar I-Pace in fact are also from the same year as this. So yeah, it's quicker than those kind of cars, but it's also slower than the likes of a Panamera Turbo, looking for more off-road vehicles from around the same period, a Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk, a Mini X-Ray All-4 Racing Countryman, a Porsche Macan Turbo, which is probably quite similar to this in terms of size, and yeah, it's also slower than the Maserati Levante S, which is, and the Lamborghini Urus, which are two of the higher, more modern off-road vehicles on this series. So yeah, quicker than several cars from the same year and from the same kind of type of car, but also slower than a couple of others that are far quicker. You know, that Lamborghini Urus is more than 2 seconds quicker than this. So yeah, it's a little bit disappointing in that regard, but as far as Land Rovers go, yeah, it's the fastest one we've had from them, although obviously I think we've only had the classic Land Rover from them so far. Let's just check. Yeah, we've had the classic Land Rover we've had the Land Rover Series 3, which is about nearly 7 seconds slower than this. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, we've not had any other modern Land Rovers on this series so far, so I do look forward to trying out the only other one I think we have on this game, to see how that compares to this. But yeah, it's still a solid vehicle in its own right. It's really rather stable, got up to a reasonable amount of speeds at time, but was able to maintain those reasonable speeds even if they weren't, you know, ludicrously high that we've seen from some vehicles. And yeah, it's just generally easy car to drive. So yeah, I highly recommend getting this car if you haven't already. It's in the festival playlist at the moment. Just do 3 races and the championship, and it's all yours. And it's well worth getting because it's a really rather solid vehicle in stock form. And yeah, you can do plenty with it in terms of upgrades. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.